Welcome to the Melanin Private Practice Group podcast with your host, Jay Lynn. In this podcast, we focus on providing helpful information to new and existing mental health practitioners interested in starting a private practice and or those who are currently in it but just need a little bit of help. If you are ready to receive this word, let's dive in. Here we go. Hello, everyone. All right, you guys, we're going to be winding down on this 1 to 2 minute wait as we allow more people to come in. Again, this is being recorded, so you will have an opportunity to catch this on the replay. And for those who are watching it on the replay, we thank you for taking time out your schedule to watch this live webinar. So we'll give it about another minute and then we will dive in. All right, Javante, it looks like it's just me and you, bud.
How's it going, Jessica?
I'm doing good. And yourself?
I can't complain.
Well, normally at this time in the program, we would, have people tell us where they're coming from. But since it's just you and I, why don't we just go ahead and dive into introductions? Why don't you tell the people about who's Javante? What is On the Money Bookkeeping Services, and why are we here today?
All right, so good evening, everyone. My name is Javante. I'm the owner of On the Money Bookkeeping and CFO Services. And as the title says, I provide bookkeeping services as well as some fractional CFO services, budgeting, forecasting, projections, cost analysis, things like that. I'm a Virginia native. My alma mater is George Mason University, where I got my degree in accounting. I also have two designations. The first is my CMA. I'm a certified management accountant. Um, Skill set kind of, again, centralized around forecasting, budgeting, cost analysis, helping businesses scale. And then my second one is a FMVA, which is financial modeling and valuation analyst, which again, it kind of double dips into the same points as the CMA, but it's more so being able to make models and different financial statements to help, end users understand their numbers a little bit better and easier, make it a little bit more digestible, I guess. And then I'm also currently serving on the board as the treasurer for a nonprofit that focuses on mental health awareness and bridging the gap between that and finding sustainable resources. And
I Go ahead.
last part you asked me to explain why we're here today. That was it, right?
Yes, why are we here today?
So pretty much just wanted to, open up and kind of discuss a few topics that a lot of clients kind of write in and ask questions about regarding their financial status and their financial health. It's usually a major pain point for a lot of entrepreneurs. And we just kind of wanted to have an open forum and maybe let everyone voice their questions and maybe even learn something new that they haven't heard before.
I absolutely love that. And so, everybody, even though we don't have active participants on the actual Zoom with us, If you are watching on the replay, we definitely encourage you to reach out to us via email. If at any point you have any questions about this presentation, things that you want us to bring up in future lives, then we encourage you to send an email to info at jlwmedicalmh.org. Remember, we're doing this for you. This only benefits you. And so by you engaging with us, even on the replays, it gives us the information we need to curate more topics and more live webinars, but also it gives us an opportunity to see what pain points you're experiencing so that we can offer additional services to you guys. So without further ado, Javante, we're just gonna dive in to that first question. If you guys give me just a moment, I'm gonna pull up his Javante. He put in work, you guys. He put in work.
It was
All right, so Javante, huh? Thank you. All right, so for our first question, many small business owners struggle with bookkeeping basics. What are the fundamental concepts every entrepreneur should understand about their finances?
I think first and foremost, I would say the number one rule is just to stay organized. It sounds simple, but usually most of my jobs with my clients have in some way, shape, or form, it's because they're unorganized, whether they're losing receipts, the bank accounts haven't been reconciled, credit card statements haven't been reconciled. The amount of people in their team that have access to view their records, their general ledger, even bank accounts, they have no idea who's kind of going in and out. And staying organized, it helps, especially at the end of the year, which this is usually another major pain point. No one likes taxes at the end of the year. It makes your tax professional's job a lot easier if you're organized. So instead of them spending, 3 hours, 3, 4, 5 hours preparing your tax return at the end of the year, if you already had organized financial records, just, already packaged up and ready to hand to them, you cut their job in half, and then you also spend less money because they're not charging you by the hour at that point. So that's definitely would be my number one rule whenever I'm speaking to people about just basics of bookkeeping and accounting. And then the next I would say is to be consistent. So you don't want to wait until your books are a mess. And again, this kind of is the partner to being organized. You don't want to wait till your books are a mess to try and fix them. It's going to lead to more pain later on when you do have to, file your taxes, prepare financial statements. You're going to the bank to try and get a business loan, and now they're asking for, projections or your budget or what are you expecting or how much it even costs for you to run your business currently. If you don't have these things in order because your books are a mess and you're not organized, then it can definitely put a hamper on what kind of funding you can get and even just your normal cash flow throughout your day-to-day operations. And then I think lastly, I would just say don't overlook the benefit of hiring or outsourcing or just getting professional advice from a bookkeeper or an accountant or a tax professional. Every business owner is good at what they do. They're good at making money, whatever business it is. And 9 times out of 10, do-it-yourself accounting usually keeps them from being able to focus on what they're good at, which is, running their businesses. So again, it makes your workflow a lot more efficient, and saves you a lot of time and frustration.
I absolutely love that. And, as you were talking, one of the things that came up for me is when you were talking about record keeping track of your expenses, your receipts, and reconciling your accounts. And you even touched on how that affects going after a business loan. And I can tell you guys that one of my clients during this past year really hit a difficult season in their business. And the quickest way that we could help prepare them to recover was to look at a recovery loan. Now, of course, we applied to grants. We weren't, focusing heavily on loans to repair the business, but we did look at it as a potential solution. And so what ended up happening was when it came to going after that loan during the process, she didn't have her receipts and her expenses in order. She was searching for things. She was relying on the bookkeeper to um, relying on the bookkeeper to get her information instead of being able to just go to a specific file and pull that information. So I love that you touched on that and that you highlighted the importance that people needed to be organized so that they're not racing around what could have taken, maybe 4 or 5 months to get a determination ended up taking upwards 7 months. So I just wanted to throw that example out there to just reinforce some of the things that were shared. And so my next question to you is, as you know, technology is constantly changing the bookkeeping landscape. And we're telling these practitioners that they need to be accountable and responsible to their record keeping. So what tools or softwares do you recommend for small business owners to stay on top of their finances?
I get this question a lot. I have a bookkeeping business, so I kind of run across a few different accounting softwares that a lot of people use, and it kind of depends on your business structure, the size of your business, and kind of what you need visibility for. I've seen some small to mid-sized businesses do all their financials in Excel, and I mean, unless you're like an Excel guru, I don't necessarily recommend it because it's not the most user friendly. But then you have like platforms like, everyone knows QuickBooks Online from Intuit, Xero. Those are pretty user friendly. They come with apps. In some cases, depending on your business, you can kind of do a one size fits all and set it up to kind of automatically do a lot of things for you. And then as you kind of grow and scale, some companies use larger ERPs, kind of like Oracle or NetSuite. But again, it kind of just depends on what you need. Most smaller businesses, small and mid-sized businesses are using things like QuickBooks Online and Xero, just because they're also the ease of use, and then they're also able to be integrated in a lot of different software subscriptions that they may currently be using. Um, and then outside of just the accounting, a lot of businesses, especially as they're growing, they start hiring people. So they look for payroll services, which is also another great tool to use because cutting a paper check nowadays, everyone wants ACH. So that one's definitely a big ask when I'm speaking to a lot of clients. And some of my clients like Gusto, they're like ADP. There's a newer one called Dominion Payroll. All of these are user friendly. They'll manage most of it, and they just make sure that payroll taxes are being paid on time. You're making sure employees are getting their checks on time. But yeah, it's all pretty much up to personal preference and what you kind of need, whether or not you like the functionality of having it in an app, or you're great with a computer and like to mess around in Excel and kind of make your own charts and do your own kind of analysis. It kind of just depends.
I love that. And, not for nothing, everybody, but I use Xero. I was formerly a QuickBooks user, but I have since switched to Xero. And I have to tell you guys, I really enjoy it. Although it can be a little complex, it is, as he said, still user friendly. And I have enjoyed it, having had it over the last 4 months. Now, do you recommend, or actually, let me rephrase this question. There are a lot of companies that can integrate into your software and they can make automation seem easy. What are do you recommend? What type of plan do you recommend people should have when it comes to integrating the financial technologies?
So first, I would definitely say make sure your chart of accounts were set up and personalized for your business. Whether you sit down with a professional and kind of see what accounts you think you may or may not need. Because a lot of these like QuickBooks and Zero, they come with these kind of one size fits all generalized chart of accounts, and sometimes they might not be specific for your industry. So that would be the first step, because if you're integrating something and your chart of accounts isn't right and you're automating things to incorrect accounts, then you have incorrect financials, and then we're back at square one of being unorganized. Um, so that's definitely the first rule of thumb there. And then second, I would just make sure that the software integrations are again user friendly, or you have someone to help. A lot of these um software companies have like customer service and customer resource that help you through all of that, and even just having customer support. That's one thing I definitely would recommend, is you do a little homework to make sure the support that you have for these integrations, because as much as we love technology, something always kind of goes wrong. Um, and before AI takes over the world, we definitely have to make sure that we dot our I's and cross our T's, as far as what we can control as far as human error when setting these things up.
Now, one thing that you mentioned that really kind of stuck out to me was the generalization of these systems and how people need to set them up specific to their industry. And as you know, the mental health industry is very complex. And when we're dealing with insurance reimbursements, we need to know when payments have been allocated and where they have been allocated. So, my next question to you guys is, let's talk about the relationship between sales growth and cash flow. Practices are getting patients almost every day. And as they're growing and they're building their referral base, that's more money coming in the door. Why doesn't rapid growth always translate to better cash flow? And even how can owners manage this?
Um, Most of the time that I see that scenario, um, is usually a return on investment, or more specifically, I would call it more so related to the concept of the cash conversion cycle, which that's basically how long it takes for a business's investments to turn into cash. So normally as a company grows, you have to invest into the business, whether it's referrals, whether it's leads, marketing campaigns, other resources. Those costs, you're gonna see them kind of hit harder when you first start, and the conversion of sales, clients or patients isn't kind of flowing through at the same rate they're forking out this money. So it's normally related to timing. So you're putting all this money up front, and then you're gonna have to wait a little bit to see your return on investment, and it's normally not immediate. So normally how it's managed is a financial statement called a statement of cash flows, but we kind of tailor it and summarize it, so that you can know what to expect and when to expect it. And if it isn't your first time investing in your business growth, even like some historical information that you have, so you can see kind of how long it took, or any kind of trends it takes as far as what you're investing in and how long it took to kind of see that hit your bottom line, are definitely a good measure to manage some of those things.
I absolutely love that. And I love it for so many different reasons. But the first reason that comes to mind is, this last client, I keep using her as an example because really she was the best business case I've ever had. And during her project, one of the things that came up was the need to accurately reflect payment posting. I talked about this a little bit earlier. And being able to see those numbers in real time, knowing what you do have versus what you don't have.
Mhm.
And a part part of being able to do that was making sure that they cleaned up how they were collecting the revenue. And
Right.
so I guess one of my questions for you is, how should business owners think about the investment in professional bookkeeping services versus the potential cost of continued financial mismanagement, especially because, when it comes to revenue cycle, and as you mentioned, they're upfronting the money before they're actually getting reimbursed. And they want to make sure that when they're making business decisions, they're making it um, in based off the total accurate picture of where they are financially. So why should they invest?
So, well, the biggest thing for accountants and bookkeepers and fractional CFOs or any financial professional is to make sure that key users make informed financial decisions. So operational decisions and financial decisions kind of hold hands as far as business goes. So I definitely would say, and this is, of course, very biased, but every business owner should definitely invest in accounting and bookkeeping. And the real question is whether or not it makes sense for them to have it in-house, to hire someone on their team, or to outsource it. Generally speaking, in-house kind of gives you easy access to the person. The accessibility is easier, but potentially just due to, employment costs, benefits, depending if they're full-time or part-time, payroll taxes, things like that. They might be a little bit more expensive, but again, it depends on what you value a little bit more. And then outsourcing may not give you the same ease of access. Like you can't just walk down the hallway and kind of ask a question. You got to send an email, wait for a response. But they normally come at a lower cost. They have lower overhead to them. You're not paying, you know, payroll taxes, employee related expenses, different benefits. Um, so that's an upside to outsourcing your bookkeeping at least. But either way, the incremental cost to your business to add a financial professional to your team will keep you from paying out larger costs on the back end, especially due to financial mismanagement, like tax penalties. I know we're going to probably talk about taxes a lot because that's always no one likes to pay the government. But
Ooh, child, no.
tax penalties, late payments, even the risk of losing team members and employees due to late payroll. And even I've had a few clients come to me because they recently lost vendors or vendor relationships due to repeated like late payments just because they weren't staying on top of their payables. And even I kind of touched on this earlier, a lot of business owners apply for funding, whether it be grants or from banks. They, you know, 9 times out of 10 are asking for financial statements, your P&L, your profit and loss statement, and a balance sheet at minimum. Just to take a look at your financial health, and normally they're key deciding factors on whether or not you receive the funding you're applying for.
You know, I'm so glad you went down this route. I am really glad you went down this route because tomorrow, you guys, we will be meeting with Natasha Hennessy. She is a attorney at law and based out of Boston, Massachusetts, and we're going to be talking about the compliance side of your business. But I love that you went there because that late payment thing seems to be a recurring issue in the mental health field on the business side. I was literally just talking with a friend down in Texas who was constantly, her situation was a little different, you guys, because she was an intern. It she wasn't really there for the money, although a paid internship is always good, right? But she was there to get her hours. And so there was a disruption in her ability to continue to get hours because this particular supervisor was not paying her as agreed. And so after a number of complaints, she went back to the college and she had reported that the supervisor was not paying her accordingly. And as a result, not only did the college take action against this particular supervisor, they also found that this particular supervisor had been doing it to a number of interns. And so as a result, there's now a formal complaint against her license. So even though it's not a formal vendor or supplier, not staying on top of your money and not paying out your invoices when they're due opens you up to legal liabilities. It opens up to compliance issues with your license. And so you really want to make sure that you're staying on top of your finances, but more importantly, you're investing in those services that can do it for you. Remember, they went to school for this. They specialize in this. The way that we can't tell you how to see patients, you can't tell them how to run the numbers. So so my next question to you is, once a business, and actually I'm going to throw a caveat question. It's going to be similar. But this question really stuck out to me as we've been talking. And it was, once a business has recovered from bookkeeping neglect, what systems do you recommend, practices that can help them stay current and in industry standards? Which ones do you recommend? And I'm sorry, my question is all over the place. But then the caveat question is, what happens in addition to the tax penalties and the loss of vendors and the legal liabilities? What else have you seen that has prevented? Nope, that's not where I was going. What else have you seen that has had a detrimental impact to one's business as a result of not heeding to the wisdom and hiring the right professionals?
That's a good question. I've had many conversations on this. And honestly, I'm gonna answer the first part of the question first. And this is gonna probably sound a little repetitive. But back to the first question you asked me, you just gotta stay organized. Like number one rule, you have a financial expert, a financial professional working for you, helping you, whether it's a bookkeeper or an accountant. They're going to be organized. They're going to expect you to also be organized, because they can't really put your financials in a way that's going to be informative to you without kind of knowing exactly how you want to see your numbers and how you're expecting to see them. And then again, just seek informed help, whether it's an accountant, whether it's a bookkeeper, whether it's a CPA, whether it's a legal professional. CPAs kind of they also deal with the financial legal side of things as well. But from your day-to-day bookkeeping to tax prep and submission, the accounting cleanup for your books is normally a very expensive fee. That's 100% avoidable. And that's just a cost that you just don't want to incur in your business just because of the lack of effort. You know what I mean? So this is something that could be fixed just from taking the initiative, to ask some questions, seek some guidance. And bookkeeping and accounting's usually always a major pain point for a lot of business owners, because business owners were more concerned with making the money as opposed to what the money looks like on the back end. As long as we see the dollars flowing into the bank account, we're in good shape. And then to kind of touch on your second question, I think the biggest thing that kind of left the impact on me and what kind of got me in my business, what had me start my business, was just that a lot of people that I knew that had businesses, the financials just became a burden to them as opposed to a resource to help them make informed decisions. So they spent more time stressed out, especially, during the end of the year, depending on when your fiscal year ends, that time frame in the year, their sales would kind of drop, or, even team morale would kind of drop, just because everybody's kind of running around stressed out, trying to find this and that because, haven't been organized, or kind of put the financials on the burner, like, hey, I'll fix that later. But that's definitely probably the most impactful thing that I've seen. And I would say definitely, stems into different areas. Like I said, it seems very small to begin, but once you get to your end result and you need the financials to be able to make decisions whether or not to invest in this new equipment or whether to, hey, I know Q3 of this year I'm going to need to apply for a couple more grants, or maybe we have a new marketing campaign. Do I need to kind of push it out some just because my cash flow, I'm not expecting the same amount as I thought I was going to have at the beginning of the year. So stuff like that, kind of just keeps business owners up at night.
I love that. So just a heads up, everyone, we're coming up short on time. In the event that the Zoom times out, we will restart using the same link. But for the sake of time, I'm just going to move forward. I'm going to ask this next question, which is a very important question for any business owners who are listening right now or listening on the replay and thinking, I might be in trouble. What are some red flags they should be looking out for that indicate they need professional help?
I say the number one red flag, if you're a business owner and you don't know how much it costs for you to keep your doors open to run your business, that's the first red flag. Because when you go to seek funding from any source, they're going to ask you how much does it cost for you to run your business, what's your profit margin, and if you don't know those answers, they're kind of looking at you like you have three heads. Because now they're asking how do you effectively run your business. Second, I probably would say, end of the year becomes like a high stress time. Again, I keep touching on the taxes because that's usually a ear sore for me. End of the year comes, everybody's calling me like, hey, we're gonna hit this deadline? Hey, we have time to discuss this. Is this how we gonna have submit the financials to the CPA? Stuff like that. But sorry, I lost my train of thought.
You're fine. You're fine. You were saying submitting the financials to the CPA. You were also previously talking about the importance of knowing your profit margins. And if you don't know your numbers, how lenders will look at you like you're crazy. Then they might recommend a therapist, y'all, for the therapist.
So, so yeah, just going back to that, even with all those things, if you're not being organized or have any idea of what you're normally paying in taxes on a yearly basis, what your financial results normally are, and just the overall financial health of your business. I think if that's a big question mark for you, you definitely should be thinking about seeking some professional help. And then again, this is just to avoid a lot of potential costs from financial mismanagement. We touched on a lot of them already, so I'm not going to repeat them. But if you're continuously saying that you have a lot of late payments, you're losing vendors on employees, and you're getting fines and high interest, or no one wants to give you good credit terms. I definitely think it's time to kind of to reevaluate and try and recover from some of that.
I, I love that. I love that. I hope you guys are taking heed to this information because I have to tell you, I have had clients who have not paid their invoices in a timely manner. And you guys, it's not a kind of situation you want to be in. As I mentioned earlier, it opens you up for legal risk. It opens you up for risks with the Attorney General's office, especially if you have employees. So definitely, I encourage you to take heed to this information. And Javante is always accepting new clients.
That I am.
And so our last and final question is talking about forecasting. There therapists are not financial professionals unless, you know, they've changed their career and at some point they had that financial background. So how can businesses accurately forecast their finances, especially when dealing with unpredictable reimbursement timelines?
This is the money question here. Um, I would say the most beneficial tool, I think off the top of my head, I would say would be the accounts receivable aging report. And maybe, you know, sorted by customer or insurance provider or whoever's providing the reimbursement. This report normally includes like the days outstanding for receivables as well as the average days outstanding by customer. This just gives you a pretty good picture of timing. So if you know you have a specific customer or entity that reimburses you in 30 days versus another one that might be paying you in 60 days, that's just another way that you can kind of just already know what to expect from that person. Um, and again, the report just it'll allow you to forecast with generalities to expect the disbursement of the payment. Um, and then once you're comfortable with this report, it can be incorporated into preparing your budgets, again, your forecast, any kind of analysis that you're trying to do, whether or not you just want to know like how long and back to the cash conversion cycle, how long is it taking for my business to receive in cash? And then again, the more historical data that you have, the more accurate these tools, especially specifically the accounts receivable aging report, the more accurate the tool just becomes to help you get an idea of your cash flows.
Wow, that's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. And you guys, I will say this. I have seen certain insurance companies pay out as early as 3 days. And I have seen where clients have received that money, they put that money towards bills and going back to that famous function that I keep emphasizing with you guys, payment posting. They are not accurately posting the payments to the patient's accounts, or they're not posting at all. And so now, how are you able to accurately reflect your money and be able to forecast accordingly if you've already spent money that you didn't reconcile? So, Javante, I so appreciate you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come chill with us and talk. Are you on the money? And I just ask, where can the people find you? They want to hire you for your services. Where can they find you?
It's two main ways I accept contact. The first, my website, OTM bookkeeping .biz, and then also on LinkedIn, you can find me at Javante M. Colbert. And then just
I
want to say as well, I appreciate you for having me. This has been this is a part of what I love to do, help people get informed about finances and how they can kind of change the trajectory of their business based off of making sure they're staying organized and their financial picture is in good shape.
You are so welcome. You know, I enjoy soaking up your knowledge. A little hint, hint, you guys, he's my bookkeeper too. So you're in good hands if you decide to go for his services. And on top of that, so Javante is participating in a 10-week online coaching program with myself, Kelly Saunders, who's from Kelly Sells Cars, as well as I mentioned earlier, who will be speaking on Thursday, Natasia Hennessy, attorney at law. And so we are putting together a recovery program that is designed to help you guys not only rebuild your practices if you are going through the decline, but also to put a contingency plan in place. So during the next crisis, whether it's the cybersecurity attacks or it is what just happened down in Texas, the hurricanes that resulted in a power loss for days and weeks, how do you respond to that? How do you make sure business is continuing, the finances are coming through? And on top of that, you're still able to sustain operationally. So definitely make sure you visit the link, whether you are watching us on YouTube, you're listening in on our podcast, or you're catching the replay on any of our socials, whether that's Instagram, LinkedIn, or Facebook. Definitely make sure you select the link to our Behavioral Health Business Academy and check out our upcoming courses. If you guys register before September 1st, we are giving you guys a laptop. So whether you plan to use that for your children for back to school, or you want to raffle it off as a prize in your practice or upcoming outreach event, it's a laptop on us, y'all. So definitely make sure you visit us on the web, learn more about our coaching program, our other courses, and let's get to this recovery. Let's help you recover your businesses sustainably with the right business model. Thank you again, Javante. And we'll see y'all next time.
See you. Everybody take care.
Well, friends, that's our time. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. This podcast is sponsored by JLW Medical Management Consulting. We are now accepting applications for the Patient Referral Program and the 90-day Private Practice Bootcamp. If you would like to learn more, please visit us online at www.jlwmedicalmh.com. We look forward to seeing you next time.